live. Hope we're coming through loud and strong.
Do you think that's going to disturb the mic?
Maybe we'll see. Might have to handle it for now. If you've just joined us, do say hello.
Yes, join.
I know we were off last week, but it's good to be back.
Hey. Even God took a rest on the 7th day. Do you know what I mean? Not that I'm equating us to gods, but you know.
Is that what it is? Okay, that's fine.
Anthony Christian, or is it Anthony?
Anthony. There's
Anthony.
no H.
Yeah, no H. Yeah, Anthony Christian.
Hey, Anthony, how you doing, mate? I hope all is well. Who else is joining us? Okay, we got Bry, Angus, with a lot of hand signals, mate. What's going on there, Angus?
That's just thumbs up Yeti Rock.
Wow, that's quite hard to do. Thumbs up Yeti Rock.
Yeah. Thumbs up Yeti Rock.
That's quite hard to do.
Yeah, I was pretty good at the phones for you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, was it phones for you? Yeah, I struggle with this stuff.
Anyway,
who else we got on there, Dave?
So Richie J, John from Brecon.
Wow, John, how you doing?
Yeah, we've got Jerome. Bonjour, Jerome.
Jumbo Trekkers. I hope all is well. It was awesome to be back. I've been off for a couple of weeks. I say I've been off. I've been doing other things behind the scenes. But who we got? We got Chris as well. It's good to see Rich on here. Great stuff, guys. Well, look, thanks so much for obviously joining us today. Little bit of a different one. We put our kind of investigator hats on. Not this one. I think it'll look a little bit different. And delve deep into essentially winter mountaineering boots.
Yeah.
And which is why we put B2 or not B2.
Yeah.
Do you like that, Dave?
Honestly, it was like
seamless?
It was like the great bard himself had written the email. But so we obviously like to we talk about boots a lot.
Yeah.
Boots that you'd use when you're out hiking, and you know, we focus probably a lot on Kilimanjaro, Everest Base Camp,
we do,
Machu Picchu.
It's funny that.
Yeah, it's weird. But we're doing more and more of the high altitude mountaineering. So 6,000 meter peaks, even Toubkal in winter. And that's a slightly different ball game and requires slightly different tools for the job.
Yeah, and that's, you know, we thought let's open a discussion with that. We know we've talked about boots and things like that, and you know, whilst you're trekking, it is really important to get the right kind of boots, because whilst you're on the trek and you've got certain type of boots, but when you're on the mountain you've got a different type of boots.
Exactly.
I know we've discussed that many times, but it's always good to talk about it again, especially in the build up to season now. We discussed it after the last season back in Nepal, and we're myself and Dave heading out to do Mera Peak in November. So in literally a month to the day, we'll be flying over to Nepal, and obviously we can't wait to go back. So as you can imagine, Dave goes into shopping mode. And what have you bought yourself?
I've spent a lot. So essentially, for doing a lot of investigating and talking to the team and guides who have come back up the mountain, one of the things that has come back is that the conditions are getting cold.
Yeah. Say that again. I missed it.
The conditions are getting cold.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So you need the right tools for the job. Now, we'll break down sort of what boots are good for what trips and at what time of year.
Yeah.
But essentially, if you're doing Mera Peak or Aconcagua, you're going to need a good set of double layer mountaineering boots. And so I got to shopping.
And what did you get, Dave?
I bought a pair. So now, me and La Sportiva have had a bit of a tumultuous relationship over the years.
Okay. Yeah.
But I love the style of the boots. I think they look cool.
They're very nice.
I also like the technology that La Sportiva put in a lot of their boots.
Yeah.
So there are two main choices that I whittled one down to. We'll start with the ones that I think most people are going for at the minute, which is the Scarpa Phantom 6000s.
And, you know, as if by magic, Dave, would you like me to just throw that onto the screen?
Ready?
I hope it's the right one now.
There we go. So that's the first one that I was looking at. And regardless of the time of year you're going, That's the type of boot you're going to need to use on Mera. It's a double boot. So that outer gaiter is just a gaiter.
Okay.
Inside that gaiter is another boot.
Nice.
And inside of that boot is another boot, like a little bootie that you wear.
Very, very nice.
However,
but you didn't get that one.
I didn't go for them. I went for these bad boys.
Okay.
The La Sportiva G2 Evos.
Okay.
The reason I went for these is because I love the BOA system.
That's a little knobbly bit on the side, right?
That's it, yeah. And there's also another one of them inside the gaiter.
Awesome.
So two of them, and they fasten the boot in two areas.
Okay.
The reason why, now, before anyone says, what if they break, you can't fix them? It's like a metal wire, man. Like,
so they're quite strong.
I'd have to be like Arnie to snap that.
They are, yeah.
But but also I've used BOA a lot in like mountain biking, and yeah.
I love that for Marky V. Hey Mark, how you doing, mate? Hope all is well. They've been on the try. You know, boots like Russian dolls. Yeah, that is that's what these things are like, aren't they?
Exactly. So I wore them on the first little trek yesterday. We just did a little hit up one of the local hills.
Just up there.
So they're very stiff, but remarkably light, about as heavy as a pair of Meindl Boutons.
Which is nuts, isn't it? You think of the size difference, and yet looking at the actual weight, I was thinking they're not that heavy.
They're very surprising, which is another reason why I went for the La Sportivas. They're actually one of the lightest
compared to the other
ones.
Really,
there's not much in it.
Yeah,
but if you're going to shave a few grams, then I'm going to be down for that.
Brilliant. It's interesting, yeah, because Michael's asked as well. Hey, Mike, how you doing, mate? What's the best for Island Peak? So yeah, with regards to these boots, they are. We're talking about all the peaks now. Like if you're on Mera, if you're on Lobuche Peak, if you're on Island Peak, all these boots that we're talking about now are suitable for all of those peaks.
Yeah.
Because it has changed, and I think our advice over the last, especially like talking 5, 6, 7 years ago when we first started putting our content together and we first started running our trips, and we did our first summits to Island Peak kind of several years ago with Evertrek, was that actually at that time, because the kind of feedback that we were getting from on the mountain was, in terms of the weather, was that B2s would be fine.
Yeah.
And the thing is, also B2 boots have evolved a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like now they've built a lot of lightweight B2s.
Yeah.
The market's changed. It's not as easy as going, it's this one, or it's this one in terms of the B number.
Yeah.
It's more about the particular boot. The big thing is that we're in mountaineering, and especially when you're on snow, when you're on any form of incline, you've got to have a rigid sole.
Yeah.
Because the more rigid it is, your crampon isn't going to ping off or isn't going to come off. It's going to be fully locked in. And as you can imagine, when you're on these peaks, you want to make sure that's rigid as possible.
Yeah.
Now B2 and B3 is both rigid. B3, as you can imagine, is like the upper end of the spectrum. Literally you cannot force it. B2s are a bit softer, but there are some B2s. There are a little bit towards those rigid lines. That being said, because again, not just the environment, not just the industry has changed, but the environment has changed.
Yeah,
meaning it has become colder.
That's one of the things that we're getting from Mera now is that Mera Peak, particularly if you're going in autumn, which we are, you need the double layered boots, because that's the thing. You see, it used to be B1, B2, B3, and they were all they were very distinct in their categories. Yeah. Like Andy said, now B2s, like you can get B2s that are like, you could like it's a Newport coming out. But you can get them that they're almost trekking boots.
Trek, did you say?
They're almost trekking boots.
Yeah, like
and but then you've got other B2s. So there is a set that I highly recommend for sort of winter Toupcal.
Yeah.
Which you have the photo there, and
let's bring it up, mate. Let's imagine that I've seamlessly gone to that.
Yeah. So winter Toupcal is that one.
Manta Pro GTX.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, we'll bring it in.
So these are really good. Now
good angle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right in your face. The inner side is the worst. Anyway,
if you're playing football, that's where you'd be hitting the ball.
But the reason why I like that picture is because it does kind of show the little welt at the back for the C2 quite clear. So that's why I chose that one. They're really good. I have a pair of them. You can trek in them.
Okay.
Normally, you could wear. They're a bit heavy, and if you're used to trekking in super lightweight stuff, they're going to feel a bit clumpy. But actually, I wore those at Penavan, fairly recently.
Isn't it? So, because they are quite lightweight, and just bring that little Tuesday tuning in the corner there. They are a bit lightweight, but they're perfect, and they are so rigid that it'll hold a C2 crampon.
Will hold a C2 crampon
Yeah,
really
nice.
easily. But you potentially could get away with that boot, or perhaps like on Island Peak in spring.
Yeah.
Now, if the weather's quite mild, you could use that boot on Island Peak in spring, and it'll be absolutely fine. Technicality-wise, it's good enough. Yeah. But if the weather gets really cold, you're probably going to want something a little bit more heavy-duty.
Yeah.
So Island Peak in autumn, and Mera Peak and Aconcagua, you need those double-layered ones we showed earlier.
Yeah.
If you do Island Peak in spring, the information I'm getting is that if you go to the photographs again, and
we'll go. Let's have a little look.
So it's the one to the left of that.
These ones, the cube.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, we'll bring these in.
The information we're getting from the guides is that type of boot.
Yeah.
Amazing. For sort of spring.
Yeah.
On Island Peak. There's also another one I got there just to the right of it, I think.
The Mammut?
Not the Mammut, the one in the middle.
The Mont Blanc? Yeah.
The Mont Blanc. That's another one that could be really good for Island Peak. Yeah.
So these two then, just coming from, Evertrekkers now, looking to plan for, because there are some differences, aren't there, in the autumn, in the spring, two massive seasons. And, if we were saying, right, this is, if you're going to go to Island Peak and you're going to go any time of year, we'd normally say B2s are fine, right?
Yeah.
But now we're kind of shifting a little bit.
So they're B3s.
Okay.
They're just not a double layer B3.
I see. Right. So a little bit difference between the other one you showed us at the beginning, the Phantom Pro.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the ones that I bought, the last Sportiva G2s.
Yeah.
And the Phantoms, and there's also a set of Mammuts on there they're triple.
These ones.
They're B3.
Yeah.
Double layered boots.
Wow, I was going to say they look stylish.
Yeah. Now the other ones that we were on, the Mont Blanc and the Cube, are B3 single layer boots.
Okay, nice.
Now I would recommend as a minimum for Island Peak in the spring, those B3 single layers.
Okay, nice.
If you want
these bad boys,
those, I would say as a minimum you're going to want those.
Okay.
Like I said, you possibly could get away with the other ones, but if the weather,
it's risky though, isn't it? I mean, whenever we're looking at this, we want, we always talk about, and I'll get rid of that boot so you can see us.
Yeah.
We always talk about managed danger and unmanaged danger, and I think we look at our health like that as well, and especially on the mountains when it's super cold and we're looking, we're thinking about our toes here. If weather does come in, the guides have some control in terms of right, let's get down, or they also have some control as if it's that bad we won't, it's just too dangerous to go on.
Yeah.
But ultimately, things can happen, and we're not saying this to scare you guys. It's when we're talking about trekking and high altitude and the mountains, it can be and is an inherently dangerous place. So we've got to get comfortable with that. But if we can manage it by having the right gear, it's something then that becomes our control.
Exactly.
And that just makes a whole difference. And it means, that could be the difference between, reaching that summit or not reaching that summit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the issue with the, the difference between those lightweight boots that could be okay if the weather plays ball. But if the weather turns really cold, you're going to end up in a situation where potentially you have to turn back because you can't feel your toes and you don't want to risk getting frostbite. If you have the other boots, then you're going to be fine. So it is a little bit more complicated than it used to be, where we'd say those type of boots are fine. Now it's like that type of boot for this type of boot for this time of year, and this type of boot if you're doing that.
And it's interesting because we talk about research, and that's why we talked about B2s or not B2s. That is the question, because we see a lot of our Evertrekkers out there, and giving us some feedback on what equipment's working well.
Yeah.
What equipment is probably at reaching its limit in terms of performance, and we just want to feed that back and say, look, this is what's working. Especially looking around the industry, looking at the big expedition companies that are on Everest, on the Annapurna regions. So we've done, investigations along that area. We're putting together a really comprehensive blog on this as well.
Yeah.
Just so you've got it, so you know exactly where you stand, because these are big purchases, and they are sometimes, they are a lot of money. You're talking upper end of sort of £500-600,
Yeah.
which is a big, which is a big outlay for a trip. But I think if you are looking at safety and you want to get the best performance, some of the ones we've shown there, are some of the best. If you're looking at Mera Peak, Island Peak, if you're looking at the kind of the colder times of year, the upper end of the autumn, the early parts of the spring, and then if you're after that, then you're going for Aconcagua. If you're looking for progression, we get a lot of people who, they come to altitude, they see the mountains, they love it, and they're like, can I go a bit higher? Let's do Island Peak.
Yeah.
Let's do Mera Peak. And then some of those people, then we've had Evertrekkers that are now coming on to Aconcagua. And that is a different story. Like when we're talking about these B3s with the double layer boots, you have to have those double layer boots on Aconcagua.
Yeah, 100%.
The weather is it can be a bit nuts out there.
I mean, my view is that if you do, if you want to go 6,000 meters, you could just get one boot to do it all, and you could just get those double layers.
Yeah,
that means that there's this is what I've decided to do. There's no question in my mind then that I have the right tools for the job. The downside is, and this is something we all got to put up with, they're expensive.
Yeah,
but we are having to adapt to this ever-changing sort of technology with boots. For instance, I saw a post Kenton Cool did the other day, and it was quite interesting where he uses La Sportiva, and it was a bit, I think it must have been like a bit of a promotional post, but he took pictures of all of his actual boots that he uses.
I bet he's got a fair few, huh?
From the tea house in Namche to the summit of Everest.
Really?
And what he does is he uses like just random trainers for chilling. Then he has some La Sportiva trekking boots.
Nice.
Then he has up to, I think, Camp 2 or 3, he'll use my boots.
Yeah. And
then from Camp 2 to the summit and back, he'll use the Olympus Mons 8000ers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what a great name.
Yeah, it's an amazing name, isn't it?
Highest mountain in the solar system.
And that's the thing, it used to just be you had your Everest boots and those were what you wore unless you were trekking. Now everything's getting more and more stretched out. We bought a pair. I actually gifted mine to Zach because I wasn't entirely fussed.
Was that the Equilibriums?
The Equilibrium, yeah.
I love those.
You love them, don't you? Well, I gifted them to Zach purely because he was doing some winter stuff with you up in Scotland, and I figured they were good boots.
Yeah, they were good.
But Anuj wore them in spring to Summit of Island Peak and said that it was technically probably too cold. Yeah,
you could get away with it. Like I'm going to Mera Peak in a month's time. I'll be using some of the bigger boots that you've seen here.
Yeah.
And even though I love the Equilibriums, I don't want to risk it. I could probably get away with them. But Jerome, and thanks for all these questions as well. We got all these questions are great, by the way. We will come on to them. How do hire boots compares to those you recommended? And it is a biggie because over the years we've kind of discussed, and these are the mountaineering boots now, not the trekking boots. The trekking boots, we feel like there's a lot of good ones on here as well. Like some people talking, who was it? I think they're talking about Scarpas. I think Marky V's talking about the Salomon GTX4. And that's for doing Everest Base Camp. That's for doing Annapurna Circuit, Annapurna Base Camp. The trekking side of it is perfect.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the boots, hiring these sort of boots is a bit of a lottery. We've seen that. We've had customers and Evertrekkers who've gone out to Nepal. It is a big outlay, so to save money, they've hired the boots, but it hasn't worked out as well, or it's they don't always fit.
Yeah.
There's not always availability because you're in these remote regions and you're in the areas that they obviously they're not worn in, and they're not the best quality.
Yeah.
So you're giving up a lot there. Whereas if you can stretch and afford it and get it, obviously that's going to be a better. I mean, there are higher options. It's just that we're leaning towards now, and our advice is kind of evolving a bit. Is that actually it's best that if you are taking on these peaks, it's probably best you don't hire them.
Yeah,
you can do if you really must, that's fine. But if you can, get them yourself.
Yeah, it is one of those things now where our mindset is changing because we have had when we started doing peaks, there weren't huge numbers.
Yeah.
Now every year we're getting more and more people, so our knowledge of how to run those trips has expanded hugely in the last couple of years.
Big time. Yeah.
And we're very we had a really amazing group go to Mera last spring, and gave me such valuable feedback
Yeah.
that I've, personally going to use. And one of the feedbacks that we've received, and it's not just from our group, it's from all groups that start Mera, is that the rental boots, it's a gamble. It's like any of you that have gone skiing, you rent the boots, they're not molded to your feet. They don't feel comfortable. It'll make do, but it's not ideal. And one of the biggest issues that you have is that the quality is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because those boots start out brand new, and the first person to rent them has an amazing pair, but the last person to rent them probably had a pair that weren't accurate, weren't adequate.
They do get cleaned and washed and things, but it's just.
But like anything, it wears out, right?
Just a little shout out there. I know we got some Evertrekkers that aren't, at home. Some of them are on the road. Some of them are on our trips. I think some people from Kathmandu, which is fantastic.
Awesome.
We've even got Sean all the way. I mean, that is hard work out there in Barbados.
Yeah.
Watching the TTI from Barbados, mate. Well done.
No, I mean, Sean, I feel for you, mate. That must be horrendous. If he's drinking out of a coconut right now, I'm going to not be happy. Chilling on a beautiful beach with teal water.
Oh, here we go. We've got Glyn. Namaste from Nepal. Langtang tomorrow. Great stuff. Enjoy, Glyn. Can't wait. I want to see loads of those pictures from Langtang.
Amazing.
One of our newest trips in Nepal. Going to be fantastic. It'd be great to see some pictures coming back from you, Glyn. Good luck and enjoy the route.
Yep.
It's going to be fantastic.
Lee's in work, which...
Sorry, Lee.
I don't know what...
At least we're tearing you away from your work, right?
But do you know what that means for him, though? He could be anywhere.
That's true, actually. That's true. He probably can't say.
I mean, if he said, he'd have to kill us.
That's true.
Yeah, or he could be in like Darren Lines in Brecon or something.
He probably.
That's fine. Yeah.
Marky V, brother-in-law, was coming with me to EBC. Size 14. Wow. It's that is the upper end, isn't it, of shoe size? Yeah. It's hard.
You're gonna have to send an email for those bad boys. I think.
Because they're
not to us, to the
to the people who are making them. It's hard. I mean, there might be some out there, and there might not be as many options. I think that's always going to be the issue there, isn't it? It might not be as so many varied makes. Hopefully, Maindel will do a nice pair of size 14s. But hopefully, let us know how you're getting on. Oh wow, nicely. Brecken's not that bad.
No, well, it is if you're forced to do the fan dance.
I suppose that's true. That's true. And talking about Brecon, I think we may as well segue on to the training weekend because we've still got some spaces left.
Surprising.
Is it this?
Normally they sell out, but maybe it's people thinking, Brecon, October. That's going to be a wet,
sunny weather, right?
But it can't be. The weather can't be worse than it was in August.
Yeah,
this year. So we still got space.
Space. Definitely get yourself booked in. It's not the fan dance that Lee would love to get doing again, but it is in that same region. So it is in the Brecon Beacons or Banau Breconiog in Wales, and we'd love to have you there. The Altitude Centre are coming and joining us. Which is great. They're bringing some of their equipment as well, so we're going to be doing some of the tests that we can put on the body to kind of see how you're doing at altitude. Having done that ourselves in London, it's absolutely it's interesting to look at it from that way. So it's great to have their expertise there, just to look at it from the scientific point of view. Obviously, with ourselves, we always bring the experience and the experience of our community and Evertrekkers over the years and what works well from our side. But it's great to see the science and why acclimatization isn't always easy. It's just interesting to see how the body works and how it adjusts to low oxygen environment. Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, links in the comments there. Definitely get on if you can make it. It'd be lovely to see you. Obviously, myself and Dave be there as well.
Awesome. Oh, Let's Talk is here, but I forgot. I've forgotten their name.
I know. This sounds really bad. It's been a few weeks
because we didn't do it last week.
It was a few weeks before, but whoever Let's Talk one-to-one talking therapy, remind us of your name again. Apologies. We will have to write that one down when it comes. But right, Gavin.
Yeah.
Laces versus Boa. Dave, I know this is probably interesting between me and you because I like laces, you like Boa. But you're bringing me onto the dark side, aren't you?
Yeah. So
Lorraine, hey Lorraine, how you doing?
Lorraine.
Right, I'm gonna write that one down. If I write it down,
he has written it down as well.
Well, thing is, it's like anything. If you listen to something you only remember it 20% of the time. If you write it down, you remember it 60% of the time. So I'm almost there.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm saying, don't forget.
Okay, so next week, Lorraine, when you turn up,
then
we're
know.
both going to know.
We'll know.
Okay. If not, we'll buy you a beer on a training weekend.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Just before we do go on to laces versus boa, a little bit of a game at the moment. So you'll notice that something we did in one of our team meetings. There's something that Dave is doing when a certain word is said. So if anyone can guess that word, the first one who does will win a buff, and we'll send it out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that word is. Actually, well, we're going to give them the word.
No, because
they've got to guess the word.
Because otherwise we'll just get everyone on you.
And what have you got to do when the word is said?
I think that's giving it away.
Okay,
as well.
All right. So essentially, Dave has got to do something that he normally doesn't do.
Yeah.
And if you can guess that, and the first one to guess the word, the first one who guesses the word, will win an Evertrek buff.
Excellent. I think
so a bit of fun.
I think it's happened 2 or 3 times so far.
And looking at some of the guesses, Bhutan, Marky V, it's not. I know that would have been too obvious, right?
Yeah.
It's something obvious. A little bit different. But anyway, we'll continue, and then we'll see. I'll go for the comments.
We'll see how it goes.
Let's see how it plays out.
So my my argument for boa.
Yeah.
I first come into contact with boa buying mountain bike shoes. I just think they're absolutely amazing because why I love them for mountain biking and why I got a lot of affection for them is because you get if you mountain bike in the UK, particularly in Wales, you get muddy and sloppy and minging.
Okay.
Right?
Is that what happened?
And you have laces.
Sunday, was it?
That's a lot what happened Sunday. And so you got laces. They're just disgusting. Boa don't have that problem. Okay.
That is very true.
Then the first time I used a pair of boa on mountaineering, and trekking. So me and you are on a winter peak.
Yeah,
it's minus 25. There's a lot of wind blowing.
I see where you're going.
You've got to do up your lace.
Yeah, I suppose.
Done.
Yeah, it is a little bit. different.
You've over tightened your lace end.
Okay, I see what you've done. Okay, so it's easier.
It's a lot easier, and I have never. Ever broken a pair.
What's the kind of price difference?
I don't really know, to be honest with you, because I've never found a pair that both have and haven't had it.
Yeah.
What I will say is they tend to be the more expensive option.
Okay.
So I have a pair of boa mountain bike shoes, and they are more expensive than my non-ones.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the mountaineering and trekking side, I've not found a comparison. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Great stuff. And that's it, isn't it? Because they're all a lot of the high altitude mountaineering stuff are expensive. Yeah. So it's hard. There's no getting around it. Then, depending on where you buy them from, if you buy my boots direct from La Sportiva, there's no getting around it. They're £900. Okay. I paid. Are you allowed to? Yeah, I did. I paid £618, but I ordered them from a company called. It's because it's burned into my soul. But I'm going to use them this year on Mera. I'm going to use them in January on Aconcagua. Right. And if you want to do those, you have to have them. And I found a company. I think they're based in Germany called Alpine Trek. You see them all the time on the internet, and I've looked at their stuff previously. And what I loved about that company was they did the half sizes. Nice. So you're 10 and a half normally. Yeah. Well, I was choosing between 45, which I think is 10 and a half. Yeah. And then most other ones go straight to 46, which I think is a little bit over 11 or something. Yeah. But then these did 45.5, which you don't see a lot in UK shops. So they were really good. All right. Great. But yeah, they did bleed me dry for them. But paying 3. Just conscious of time as well. I know we've had a lot of questions in because we've had a lot in. I would normally say John from Brecon, but actually no, this is from Jamie. Jamie sent a lot of questions. That's a tremendous amount. That's tremendous effort, by the way. I respect it. There's probably about 11 on there. So, and I know there's been some questions on here as well. So we'll definitely go through them. Don't forget about that word, by the way. If anyone guesses it, keep guessing. Yep. I know we've been talking a while. Just look for Dave doing something unusual that he doesn't normally do. Yep. Because right now we've got, just before we go into that, got a lot of customers out on trips. Yeah, we do have. You slipped me up. You slipped me up.
On treks.
Yeah, we do. And that's the amazing thing.
Yeah.
Is our season in Nepal has started.
It has.
Always an exciting time of year.
We had our first ever trekkers reached Everest Base Camp this season.
Yeah.
Yesterday morning, our time. Yesterday afternoon. We've got some jazz hands going here. So they've noticed the jazz hands.
Yeah.
But what's the word?
Jamie Littlewood got it. The word is trek or trekking, and it's me doing jazz hands.
There we go. Well done. Well, Jamie, I will write your name down.
Jamie Littlewood's got himself a free buff. What it was, we were playing a card game, but we weren't drinking, so we couldn't do like drinking forfeits. So my forfeit was that I had to do something like this on the TT.
That's a good forfeit.
Yeah, quality.
Just bring a little bit of fun right to the Tuesday tune in. But well done for getting involved. Anyway, so Jamie, right, we will be sending you a buff.
Although he called me David.
Why is being official?
Yeah, no, I like it. I tried to rebrand as David once and didn't work.
You rebranded as David?
I tried to.
Oof. What was it? Rejection?
You rejected it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay, so
back to the questions.
So should we? I mean, I reckon we save those big long lists for maybe quick fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
We quick fire. Okay. There's loads.
Michael Perryman has asked, what boots are best for Island Peak?
Yeah. Hey, Michael.
So I can sum that up quite easily for you. If you want a pair of boots that are 100% guaranteed to work on Island Peak, regardless of the weather, you want the double-layered B3 boot.
Nice.
If you want a pair that are definitely 100% gonna work in spring and most of the time in autumn, you just want a set of normal B3s like the La Sportiva Cube GTX or the Scarpa Mont Blanc.
Nice.
There we go.
Okay. Very good. Very good. And that's exactly it. The point, isn't it? Is that you could use B2s, could use them, but it's highly likely that you're going to struggle with the weather.
Yeah.
Any time that you go. So B3s and warm ones.
Yeah.
Essentially. Good question. What else we got? I know you can be question master today, Dave.
Okay. So Jerome has asked, Dave, does your recent knee injury dictate what type of boot you choose?
Good question.
It's a good question. At the moment, I don't think about it, to be honest with you, because it's I had my knee operation in 2021. So it was a lot of 2022 where, I probably couldn't have got away with ultra stiff boots. Yeah. It's taken a long time to fully rehabilitate the knee, and I'm actually feeling at the minute like it's as good as it's ever going to be. It's not 100%, but it was never going to get back to 100. I would say, if you're fresh off a recent knee injury, wearing super stiff boots means that a lot of that torsion, because your foot isn't bending, is sent up the leg. Yeah. So it probably would have been a bit difficult. Lee snapped his ACL twice. He knows this. So, but after a while, and it took a lot longer than I thought it would to rebuild the muscle and strength around the knee. And now it's fine. So now I'll buy anything, and I don't worry too much about the knee. Nice. But for the first year afterwards, definitely those B3s would have been a nightmare.
Nice. Just a really good question actually as well from Gavin. Really good question around, and I'm hoping to bring it up. Here we go. I thought it was a really good question. I'll bring it in. I know all good questions, but I like this one. Do you have a higher summit rate in spring versus autumn winter dates? Are they pretty level in regards to conditions? Yeah, really, really interested. So looking at the numbers, it's very similar, really. There are some times of the year that are harder and colder, but it doesn't kind of marry up with the numbers sometimes. Don't know why, but I'd say you're looking at going in the spring or going in the autumn. They're going to be very, very similar. So don't really read too much into it, because we don't do too much in winter. Even the trips in October that do go into, or the ones like we're doing Mera Peak in November. Yeah, it's going to be colder. Just make sure that you've got the right gear for that. But it does determine then, okay, if you go in the latter part of that, you're not going to get away with B2s. Your feet are going to be cold and you're risking it. I could do, but it's just going to be risky. So for us then it just leans right. Just take that whole risk out of the equation. Unless it gets really, really bad. B3s, double layer B3s are going to be the best for me if I'm going later in November.
Yeah, Michael Perryman's just said, I have the Scarpa Rebel Light HD boots, which are B2. Are these okay for Island Peak in November?
Yeah.
I would say probably not, Mike. The reason is, we talked about those B2s and how they're like evolving, and now you get super lightweight B2s that are also good, designed for trekking and sort of B2 use. But the one thing they're not strictly designed for is a lot of cold weather. Sustained cold weather, high altitude mountaineering. So when you're on a peak like Island Peak or Mera Peak, you're walking on the snow, and sometimes that snow can be quite deep for hours and hours and hours. And if you have a lightweight boot like that one, I am aware of it, your feet will get too cold. So you're going to want a B3, ideally the double layer boot.
Yeah, exactly. Good question though. Really good question around it. And throw some specific ones as well, because we can chat about them. I know we brought a bunch, already in the images. Let's have a look. Ratchet. Jerome mentioned as well, actually, which I know we were talking about the ratchet system, the BOA system, essentially. Would there be a risk of any of this happening? Like, where is it? I'll bring Jerome in. Would there be a risk of that? Like, would it be prone to freezing up, snowy ice conditions, or is that the same as laces? You just kind of make sure
it doesn't really, because a lot of the in mountaineering boots, a lot of the mechanism is kept away. You do have that dial, but no, it's absolutely fine. That won't freeze up or anything like that. It's you might get, if you possible, you could get it like packed with some snow if you've fallen or something, but you can just clear that. The way I look at it is, it's think of like ski boots and things like that. They're all made of metal and plastic, and a lot of the time you're completely covered in snow and stuff like that. You just dust it off. No, shouldn't freeze or anything like that. Nice. I know that Simone Morrow had his own set of G2 Evo SMs named after him, Simone Morrow, which were the predecessor to the boots that I've just bought.
Never a bad thing in a boot named after you, is it?
Yeah, and he, if he says they're fine,
he's a legend.
That's good enough for me.
Is he the helicopter pilot?
Yeah, helicopter pilot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's a hero in Nepal, isn't he?
Yeah.
Simone Morrow. Although is he also the guy that can be quite controversial? Argued with.
He was involved. He was involved in a little bit of a ruckus on Camp 4, but I don't know if that was him that actually said he was just with. He was people there. I think it was Uli Steck actually that. Yeah, was quite rude.
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy time, that wasn't it? Is that in Sherpa? They got a documentary Sherpa. I think it's in there. You can watch a little bit of that. Yeah, it's pretty great documentary, by the way. Absolutely love it. Michael Perryman, thank you. I will buy some. Great stuff. Good man. Definitely get out there and give them a go. Lee Wyatt, probably a good way to view it, actually. B2, Scottish Winter Mountaineering. Anything alpine, anything high altitude, B3.
Exactly.
I think if you did stick to that, you wouldn't go far wrong, would you?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and that's a good way to think about it.
That's a lot of what the brands use as their classifications as well. So really
interesting. Right, let's go back to this gentleman then. I know, unless you've got any other questions.
There's a few more in.
Okay.
But, so David McKenzie said, having a nightmare with some Salomon Quest 4s that I bought to replace my Zambalans.
Yeah,
as I thought they were a bit heavy for EBC Gokyo in April. I'm considering sticking with the Zambalans, but buying some approach shoes for lower down. Do you think this will be okay, or do I need to boot all the way? So, Dave, one of them, we always recommend boots all the way because it's actually more. It's icy and rocky up high, but it's rooty and rocky down below. It's just as easy for you to slip or roll an ankle. And it's just so tragic, if someone rolls an ankle on their way up to Namche on day 2 and completely swells up and game over, where a boot may have had that extra support. So personally, I do all of my trekking, 100% of it in boots. However, you've got to find what works for you. Some people are particularly sensitive to the weight of their boots. I personally think that once you have a pair and you stick with them, if they don't fit, by the way, if the Salomons are giving you blisters or they don't fit, just get rid of them, sell them on eBay or Facebook, and buy another pair that don't. I'd rather have a slightly heavier pair that fit well than a light pair that didn't. And once you wear them and you get used to wearing them, you kind of just don't notice the weight, really.
Yeah, you do. It is interesting. The first time I used Maynard Boudins, and I put them on and thought, wow, these are heavy. Yeah, I'm not used to that because I prefer like a lightweight. I was using. What was I using the first couple of times? I think it was the North Face Hedgehog. The first 2 or 3 times I went to Everest Base Camp, I wore them. They are lightweight trekking boots, not massive ankle support. And then I came across the Maindels, and then I swear by the Maindels now. And I've done every other EBC trip, Kili, Machu Picchu, Toubkal. A lot of them I've done with the Maindel Boutans because they're all rounders.
Yeah.
But they are heavy. And when you do put them on first, it feels like they're moon boots. But you know what? I'm onto my second pair. The only reason is because I did the Great Glencoe Challenge, which I'm doing next year. It's the 10th anniversary. This will be my 4th one. Really looking forward to doing it next year. But on my second time of doing it, I did a big ankle roll, and I was in my Maindels. But the Maindels took all the force. Literally, one of the kind of the metal, what they call whelks on
Eyelets.
the eyelets, pinged off. It was that much. It ripped out. But it's better that happening than something happened to your ankle. It's a bit silly, really. When you, for some reason, it doesn't matter how long you've been walking for. I can do it, and I'm there, and it's probably just the way my body is.
You can roll an ankle.
I just roll, and it's like, what's going on?
Because
I'm just not thinking about it.
Yeah, it's
tricky. It's been a while.
I think I've done it once or twice.
Yeah,
but I'm so conscious of things now that when I'm walking, it's really weird. What a result of the knee injury now when I'm walking is that I'm very conscious, and it's built in now that when I put my feet down, I like to know that they're flat. I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
So we have
quite
a few questions come in from a guy, Jamie Littlewood, and normally we wouldn't give everyone such a large amount of questions but he's actually come out with some good general trekking questions that I think are
they're not all. I like it. So they found you out now.
Yeah, I don't need to do it anymore.
Although Lee was a bit like, well, is that technically
he
what
wanted
was half a
buff,
prize?
so I guess I could cut one in half. But
Lee would be happy with that. Brilliant.
So Jamie Littlewood has asked quite a lot of good trekking questions that we think is probably worth. He's focused them a lot on EBC, but there's some general stuff there that's pretty good.
Take it from the top then, Dave. What we got?
How much weight should I account for when hiring a sleeping bag?
Ooh, that's good. So sleeping bags can be anything, from you get the really lightweight ones at 0.5 kilo up to the upper ones, which are like 3 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
So, depends on what size. If you're aiming for like a kilo and a half, that's probably normal, I'd say, for a sleeping bag that you're taking on EBC. Going to Everest. Definitely that's kind of what you want to be aiming for. And weight is obviously a premium. When you're on these things, it's with the whole reason that we always try and recommend, especially on Everest Base Camp in particular, in terms of the 15 kgs, is just because of the look of the flight. Obviously, we only want to take what we need, but it's just the kind of regulations around that that you've got to be a little bit more accountable for the weight that you take. I mean, some people get away with it, and they've got to pay a little bit of money extra at the airport to take that. But it keeps it nice and easy if you can get under that. Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. He's also asked, is dollars the correct currency to take? So, absolutely fine. You can either use dollars or the local currency. Generally, what I'll do is I'll bring dollars and then I'll exchange it for local currency, or I'll just draw some out of the ATMs there. The reason why I like to use local currency is because when you're buying things in the stores and the shops and the tea houses, it's all priced in local currency, and the change you get, even if you pay in dollars, is in local currency. So it's a lot easier to do the maths and things like that. Yeah,
there's, the thing is with dollars, it doesn't matter where you go around the world, dollars is definitely well received. Everyone's like, oh my God,
except Cuba.
But majority, you're looking at Nepal,
and North
Tanzania. Korea. I wouldn't take dollars there either.
They're the only two countries I can think of right now where they probably really would be against it.
Yeah, just don't go. I'm obviously go to Cuba.
Iran.
3. Any more now before we get them
Okay, no, I'm done now. Yeah, I'm done now.
So where we actually go trekking?
So where we go trekking, obviously, absolutely fine.
But the thing is, when you're going out to Nepal, your safety is always a biggie. Really safe country, Nepal, but still carrying around wads of cash is never great. Marky V's got chirping. Syria, you're right. They don't take it to Syria. But you can, if you're taking sterling, British pounds, you can exchange those as well. And also as well, a lot of people just take it out of the ATMs. So if you're taking your card, you can just kind of draw it out in Kathmandu.
Yeah.
So you can do that as well.
Awesome. Do I
Nice.
need to get Diamox before I travel?
Oof.
I always recommend it, getting your own supply from a place like Nomad Travel Clinics. That way that you've got your own, so you know it's in date and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you do need it, the guides will have it. It's also widely available in Nepal. So all the tea houses pretty much have it. It's all the chemists in Kathmandu have it. But I always tend to get my own just so I know where it's from.
Yeah, nice. It is one of those things, isn't it? I mean, we have done, a whole kind of live and Tuesday tuning all about Diamox. Definitely check that one out. We go into it in depth in terms of our recommendations of how you use it or how not to use it, because there's a lot of opinions out there in the world. But we've seen it be used really, really well and as a powerful tool, at high altitude if you're struggling, essentially.
Do I need to take a water purification tablets, or should I use a bottle with a filter in it like the Life Straw?
Yeah.
I'm conscious the cold can break the filter, but the tablets make the water taste dodgy. We've thought of this.
It's funny that you said that. We come across same problems, over the years, but luckily in Nepal now, we use water filters, so you don't have to chlorinate the water. In the early years, up until early 2019, we used to use water purification tablets. Nothing wrong with that as well. It's just it's better and better for the environment, better for you if you purify it using just water filters.
Yeah.
So we do that in Nepal, and essentially we're looking to roll that out, on all of our trips eventually, as we kind of expand and grow. But not at the moment. It's just Nepal that happens.
Awesome. How hard are the beds? Do I need an inflatable mat? In EBC, no, the beds are fine. No one I know uses an inflatable mat in the tea houses on the Everest Base Camp trek.
Yeah.
You get a nice little foam mattress, perfectly nice, more comfortable than a blow-up mattress on its own anyway. So
yeah, nice.
Perfectly good.
Just while you're looking at another one, Pritesh, how you doing? Hope all is well.
Pretty boy.
That's not us called him. He calls himself this one.
No, we gave him that name.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, Pritesh.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, Pritesh, Pretty Boy Patel.
Brilliant. I hope all is well, Pritesh. Is there a charge using the ATMs in Kathmandu? Anywhere you draw money, really, especially like Kathmandu, wherever you're traveling, there might be a small charge, especially because the local bank might charge the transaction, the company that does the transaction. So yeah, there's a little fee, but it's not that high. And sometimes you do get a better rate. So the rate, the trade-off from taking all your cash over and exchanging it to maybe a few pounds that you might lose just from doing the transaction. It is an opinion thing, but for me, I've always done it the ATM way. It's always easier rather than taking heaps of cash. But obviously, because cash is, like for me, I don't carry a lot of cash on me normally.
Yeah.
So I really don't kind of draw it out when I really don't take it out. I'd rather draw it out whenever I go if it's easy to do that. And in Kathmandu, it is.
Yeah.
Loads of ATMs.
Exactly. So
sorry, Dave. Yeah, I know.
That's right.
Heaps of questions there.
Jerome was asked a question. Dave, off topic here, but is it possible to have my Anchor power bank repaired? Mine got damp, not wet, and it stopped working. That, my friend, is now a paperweight.
I was going to say, unfortunately, game over, isn't it?
Yeah, if they won't repair it for free if it's been water damaged in any respect. Doomed, mate, doomed.
I know they're not cheap either, but hopefully, I mean, Christmas is around the corner, Jerome. Maybe some hints to the wife. You get a new one for Christmas.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's have a quick look. Is there Wi-Fi at the tea houses? And if so, is there a benefit of getting a local SIM?
Good question.
I don't think it's worth getting a local SIM. All the tea houses do have Wi-Fi above Namche anyway. It's called Everest Link. It's a shared network. You can buy individual access cards. They're quite expensive and they don't last very long. So my recommendation is in Namche, go and buy one from one of the shops there. And you can get one that's got a big capacity that will give you enough data to last the whole trip, and you'll save a lot of money. Yeah,
lovely. Some more questions flurrying in as well. Let's have a look, especially about winter skills. May as well give the winter skills a plug. Kate, how you doing? I think, Kate, you're on the Tupacal trip this weekend. I'll be meeting myself and Dave. Looking forward to seeing you.
Yes.
Hope all is well on Friday. Really excited. Will any of these B3s be required for the training weekend in Scotland in January? So with regards to the winter skills, you can use your B3s. You can. I did the winter skills earlier this year, and a lot of Evertrekkers did. We've had a couple of those in Scotland, and some people did wear B2s. But if you have got B3s and you're thinking about going to somewhere like Mera Peak, Island Peak, maybe even higher, use those same B3s, because the incline, the terrain, they're still steep, and the kind of more rigid boot you've got, the better. But you can get away with some B2s. But yeah, if, for instance, that winter skills weekend was the only one you're ever going to do on winter, you could probably get away with B2s. But we're kind of encouraging more the B3s these now in terms of the expeditions that you're eventually planning to go on. A good question.
Yep. Let's have a look now. Thinking about weight saving, do I need to take shower gel at the tea houses, or will they offer that facility? Can you use by theirs, or where I won't be shower on all of the trail?
Yeah.
I bring like a little travel one, like that big, from Boots. They sell them. I'll be honest, you'll have almost all of it left at the end, mate. You'll have
See you, Jerome.
Most of the opportunity for a shower is Namche on day 2, which is not really needed, and then Namche again on day 10,
yes,
which is very needed. So other than that, it's sort of wet wipes, and then sort of have a sort of bag of death, as I call it, where you put all your dirty wet wipes and stuff like that.
Good question. I don't know did you answer this from David about the bags in the duffel bags in Kathmandu?
I haven't answered it. No.
Sorry, I know there was some bag stuff there as I was reading. When we get to the hotel in Kathmandu, I'll bring this one in because I think it's really, really important. When you get to Kathmandu and there's a briefing, you'll do that in Hotel Aloft, and you'll get your duffel bags. So you'll get one, an Evertrek one from us, and we want you to use that on the trek. It does get a bit kind of thrown around, dusty. If we do get some yaks involved, they do all go on the back of yaks. We have seen some porters, sliding down if it snows on some snow on the bags. Yes, they do get used a lot. You can leave the bag that you bring to Nepal in the hotel and secure locked up room. With some, if you get any souvenirs, spare, pair of clothes to keep out the dust, leave that stuff in Kathmandu. Always good when you arrive. You'll also get a t-shirt as well.
Awesome.
Maybe something else, you'll see.
Yep. What are the temperatures likely to be day and night on different parts of the trail in early November? Early November is quite mild, so it could be quite warm lower down, up to sort of Namche and Tengboche, probably quite warm during the days. Definitely below freezing at night.
Yeah.
And then as you get higher again, sort of Dingboche, Lobouche, in the low figures during the day probably, but it can still be, honestly, it's really hard to get, you can look up the averages on Google, and that'll give you what the average temperatures are. It's hard to tell you from personal experience because every time I've gone it's been like quite different. So I can tell you that on one trip I went in spring and it was freezing and covered in snow, and then I've been in autumn and I've been literally at base camp in a t-shirt like this.
Sweating. I know.
So honestly, I would have a look on Google and check the average temperatures out, but be prepared for it to go below freezing when the sun goes down.
Lovely. There was a question here from Andy, I believe. Here we go. First time, just signed up for Killy, September. I'm a Vivo barefoot walker. Awesome. We met some of the people behind the scenes at Vivo. Actually, lovely people. What do you reckon for Killy? So I'm not a barefoot, as in I don't use that, but I know you have quite a bit, haven't you, over the years? What about Killy? I know some people have used them, but it's still open, right?
The tricky is, I bought a pair, and I think they were called trackers.
Yeah.
And what I found with them is that they didn't have enough sort of protection underfoot for the really sharp terrain.
Yeah.
So although they had like a nice grippy sole, if you stood on a sharp edge of a rock or something like that, I still found that you could feel it. Also, they definitely weren't the warmest. So if we had them on when we did Killy, when we did it,
that would have been dodgy.
Would have been really uncomfortable. Potentially, I'd have turned around. There's a reason why a lot of the high altitude mountaineering boots you can't make them barefoot. They have to be bulky and insulated and have certain stuff. So I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, the barefoot thing is tricky because if it works for you, it's amazing. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It didn't work for me. I would say there's probably a lot of the trek you could do with them, but I would bring a pair of proper trekking boots for at least the summit and days like Barranco Wall and stuff like that.
Definitely. Yeah, good point as well. Yeah, and I know they're coming on a lot. The Vivo. There are other barefoot kind of companies as well, or use similar technology, and they are coming on a lot. and becoming kind of a bit more mainstream in how people use them. I remember a trek I was on in 2018, and it was quite new back then. And one of the guys on there was using barefoot shoes on base camp. But his tight gently wouldn't listen to advice. But he got a base camp and he was fine. So it is down to the individual. And obviously, if you want to, go for it. But obviously, there might be a risk that you're going to get cold. You might be feeling quite a lot under feet. But I know that the reasoning behind the barefoot stuff is to bring more natural foot and the more natural use of your feet, which you can generally use on any environment. But it's professionally, we'd say stick to the trekking boots, in our opinion. But certainly, if you do wear them and you do it, I'm sure Vivo would like to hear about that story.
Yeah, 100%.
I get in touch with them.
Yeah.
They might say, yeah, do it, and they'll might give you some press. But yeah, worth looking at, Andy. Anyway, but good question, mate. Good question. Right, we got a couple of minutes left as we kind of round out this. I suppose just to kind of swing it back to how we started it, really. B2 or not to B2.
Yeah.
Almost
so
said it the other way around then.
I'm gonna be putting together a bit of a blog as well that I'm gonna be putting out there that'll explain this with some recommendations and things like that. So you don't feel like you have to retain all of this knowledge.
Yeah.
Very, very soon there will be a handy blog that we're going to put out there and attach to the website and things like that.
Awesome.
But yeah, my view has always been, when we're talking about the high altitude stuff, is the peace of mind is important. You don't want to be let down by a piece of equipment that's not fit for the job.
Yeah.
Now, it is a gamble sometimes when you go into a 6,000 meter peak. If you bring B2 boots like the Scarpa Mantatex, it is a gamble because they may be warm enough or they may not be. So if my success is based on that gamble, I would rather get another pair which will definitely be warm enough regardless of the weather.
Yeah.
So peace of mind is always optimal. And I think that going for that triple layer boot or that B3 boot, something is going to be good enough, is what I would personally do.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a really great subject, isn't it? Something we wanted to talk about for a while, and certainly leading into some of the expeditions now. Hopefully, it gives you a little bit of advice that you'll be able to choose the kind of boots that you want to progress into. Like Kate, who's doing the winter skills and then going to Patagonia, or who knows what's next for Kate. Especially after this weekend, who knows? We might be talking about some new trips. But no, whatever you're doing, have an awesome time. I know a lot of you are on trips soon. Marky V, I know, is out there in a couple of weeks, 15 days, I think. With brother family. Charlie doing EBC on Saturday, great stuff. Like safe journey over.
Yep.
Wherever you're off to, we've had our last ever trekker go to Machu Picchu. We've had a lot of people at Machu Picchu lately, which has been great to see your photos. Be great as well if all of you are going to these places. As always, don't forget to tag us. Tag Evertrek. We've got the where is it here? I do like to bring it in sometimes. Where is it? Where are you? I am literally finding it here.
Tag us in your stories.
Where are you? You can see that. Here we go.
There we go.
Geez, I'm blind. At Evertrek UK. If you can tag us with that one, if you're on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter, X, whatever you are, Threads, tag us on that one. We'll be able to see your photos. It'd be great to even share them in the High Altitude Evertrekkers group. It's just nice to see how things are going, and good to get some updates from Evertrekkers as well. So yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome.
I suppose next week we are in Morocco next week, so there's no Tuesday tune in next week. We'll be back the week after.
Yeah.
Really excited to kind of chat about a new subject. Really exciting. I suppose we'll see you then.
Yeah, see you then.
Tupacal first, yeah. Episode 3 for you, isn't it?
2.5.
2.5.
You never made the top first.
Let's make it through.
Yeah, so I'll be good. What I might do is I might get to the summit, walk back down to where I quit, and then walk back up to the summit again.
Well, I'm going to write
that way. I can say that I've reached the summit the correct number of times for the trips that I've done.
Nice. I like it. All right, all the best. Have an awesome couple of weeks wherever you're up to, and we'll see you. Say not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after.
Yeah, take it easy, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.